Going on, Jerome's last offseason when the Minnesota Fighting Vikings hired Kevin O'Connell to be the new head coach. You're thinking, okay, got this young, offensive-minded guy. He's going to mind meld with Kirk Cousins, and we're going to pendulum swing from the defense Zimmer years, which there wasn't a lot of defense at the end. And we'll go from there. And last year, 13-4, wanting some more, win the division, you're off to a good start. Now, yes, your thing is like, okay, could the Vikings actually improve on 13-4? Maybe not in terms of overall wins, but can they be feisty and competitive in 2023? Yes, absolutely. And Kevin O'Connell was already looking good. Notorious Kevin O'Connell, where, hey, should have won Coach of the Year last year over Brian Daboll because it's regular season award. Look, just ignore the playoffs. We're going to talk about the playoffs, man. But overall, I do love and respect the culture that Kevin O'Connell and adofo-mensah have built, but also maybe Kevin O'Connell is going full DJ Khaled and suffering from success because now, like, expectations have been risen with Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings. And this year, slow start, 0-3, 1-4, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, a lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes, a lot of everything. But the fact that the Vikings still haven't had a loss by more than one score, it's what's frustrating at 7-7, man. But yeah, respect to Kevin O'Connell. After the Chiefs game, lost JJ, won 5 in a row, won two games in a row after losing Kirk Cousins, but it's been a bit of a slog since then. And what's interesting is that two beat writers, so we have our guy Alec Lewis over at the Athletic, as well as Damien Zutani of the Pioneer Press, both wrote, hey, like white knight columns about Kevin O'Connell. It's like, Dane, we don't need to fire Kevin O'Connell every time the Vikings lose, as well as Lewis was. Why it's not fair to blame Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell for teams' recent losses. Now, part of it is true, and of course it goes back to the old, average fan things like every single game is the coach's fault, or it's the quarterback's fault, or blame Kirk Cousins, or whatever. That whole thing. And this is not new. This is not specific with Kevin O'Connell. It happened with Mike Zimmer. It obviously happened with Brad Childress and Leslie, and going all the way back to Denny Green. Actually, I think Mike Tice skated by. Because people knew that rooster was very poop at because Rhett McCombs is very cheap, but I digress there. But it's interesting that both these columns came out on the same day and essentially had the same vibe going on with them. But, I mean, Kevin O'Connell really only has himself to blame over the last couple of games. And I fully understand that Kirk Cousins is not there. And at a certain point, that's an excuse. But overall, is it really? Is it really? Because when it came down to it, the mismanagement of the offensive game plan against the Broncos and also the inability of the offense to drive into field goal range at the end of the game after the defense gave up its only touchdown in 12 quarters during a 3-game stretch. Like if Kirk was there, Kirk is not like the Uno draw for wild reverse card in there. But either way, the Broncos game was eminently winnable, especially the Bears game. The Bears offensive game plan was honestly the worst I've seen in the Kevin O'Connell era, because it just seems like they just cut and paste like a Kirk Cousins preseason game plan, even though Kirk doesn't play in preseason, with Josh Dobbs. He scored 10 points at home. And also at the end of the game, after defense got you 2 turnovers, first down wins the game. Run up the middle of Madison, low percentage screen punt. It's ridiculous. It's just crazy, man. And then the Raiders game, you scored 3 points. And then the Bengals game, adios mio. So overall, the offense was good. So again, that sort of takes away the whole Kirk Cousins excuse. Oh, but if Kirk was there, they would have won by 40. But the whole multiple tush pushes with the smallest guy on the team behind the lightest center in the league, I don't know, man. And again, at a certain point, Kirk Cousins is not there is not a valid excuse for Kevin O'Connell, because just because Kirk wasn't there doesn't mean that the Vikings should not have won the Broncos, the Bears, or the Bengals game, right? Because if Kevin O'Connell is going to be coach of this team long term, I mean, he's going to have to do it without Kirk Cousins, unless Kirk plays until he's 45 or something like that. But Kevin O'Connell so far, again, I love the culture that he and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah have built. Moving away from the fear-driven organization, which Kendricks talked about, people giving Brian O'Neill high fives in the hallway, which is great. 11-0 in one-score games 2022. Now, all the haters and the losers and the people in the media, but I repeat myself, we'll say that that's all luck. There's a very much element of skill in that, in terms of game management, in terms of Kevin O'Connell and the team getting it done. Veteran roster purge last season, so it's not like the Vikings are stacked up with bad contracts and aging veterans in a last dance ditch effort here. But also Brian Flores home run hire after a very not good hire with Donna Shell last year, and also the fact that Kevin O'Connell didn't have the huevos to move on from Donna Shell or give play calling over to Pettin during the season last year. That's what's frustrating. He has Kirk Cousins playing like an MVP. Now Kirk gets a little bit of that credit too. Also rebounded from the 0-3, 1-4 start this year. Ripped off a number of wins, including beating San Francisco, who is the hottest team in the NFL right now. So hot right now. And then also, like we talked about, this mismanagement of the Bears, the Broncos, and the Cincinnati games. Also, you scored freaking 3 against the Raiders, man. I mean, come on. I mean, you still won and covered, but whatever. But 20-11 career regular season record, 645, won the division 2022. So yes, Kevin O'Connell does deserve a degree of latitude for now, especially when you do factor in injuries. But I mean, the late game mistakes continue to happen. And I don't care who's at quarterback. You get, whether it's Kirk Cousins or Josh Dobbs or Nick Mullins or Jaron Hall or Tommy Kramer or Wade Wilson or me at quarterback, at a certain point, you got to play to win. And also, let's not forget, they almost gave away the Saints game in the second half, playing not to lose. It's ridiculous, man. But, like I said, Kevin O'Connell does deserve a little bit of grace, deserve a little bit of scholarship, but also, who did too? Mike Zimmer. I mean, 2017 going to the NFC title game, even though no call, no show in the 38-7. But, I mean, Zimmer, had himself a long leash. Had himself some time in scholarship. But mistakes happen over and over and over. And we also criticize accurately Zimmer and his lack of game management acumen, him and Cousins not seeing eye to eye. And it was an issue, and eventually Zimmer was let go. Now, I'm obviously not saying that Kevin O'Connell should be fired right now, but should he go into next year in a little bit of a warmish of a seat? Yes, because it's a results-based league, and like we said, maybe Kevin O'Connell was his own worst enemy last year because he set the bar up here. And maybe it was a one-off fluke season. Who knows? But, hey, we're up here, and the Vikings are fighting and scraping right now. And, yes, injuries are a factor, but should have won the Broncos game, should have won the Bears game, should have won the Bengals game. And instead of being 7-7 and in a four-way dogfight in the NFC for the final 2 playoff spots, you could be sitting pretty. But you're not. But either way, you can completely redeem yourself with these next 2 home games against the Lions and the Packers. Vikings get a couple dubs there, and they're good to go. And again, I don't care who's at quarterback, because eventually Kirk Cousins is not going to be quarterback of the Vikings, and he just can't be the cure-all for the cause of and solution to all life's problems. Gotta go from there, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Local beat writers definitely going to bat and standing for Kevin O'Connell. Are they right? To a degree. Are they wrong? Also to a degree. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But next time, Skull Production Value.